Hello, and welcome to the Holistic Feline and Friends podcast, home for all things holistic and healthful for our pets. I'm your host, Angela, also known as a Holistic Feline on Instagram. This season is very special, with the majority of the episodes exposing some sort of huge crack in the pet industry that has misled pet guardians for decades, exposing the truth in a broken system. The intention is to educate and empower pet parents about some of the most dangerous, normalized aspects in pet health by bringing truth to light and providing healthy, natural, and holistic alternatives so that our furry loves can live well into their 20s and 30s. I invite you to listen to this season with an open mind, eyes, ears, and hearts. The truth can be hard to hear at times or harsh to some, but it remains the truth. In this episode, we have a very special guest. Pioneer and advocate for holistic integrative vet care and species-appropriate nutrition. It is Dr. Marty Goldstein. He is the founding father and leading voice in integrative veterinary medicine, has over 50 years of experience, appeared as a regular guest on the Oprah Winfrey and Martha Stewart shows, as well as Good Morning America. He's a best-selling author of 2 books on animal healing and stars in a critically acclaimed documentary, The Dog Doc. In the episode ahead, we are discussing what is really in our pets' food, the hidden dangers and ingredients causing our pets' health to decline at rapid rates. Food is the source of most health concerns. What we feed matters, and Dr. Marty breaks down what many vets will not tell you, exposing pet food at its core. With eyes wide open, you will discover the darkness within the pet food and vet med industries that they don't want you to know. By way of learned experiences, Dr. Marty shines his bright light onto the topic. Within the episode, I also share a personal story why Dr. Marty is so special to me and why we need more Dr. Martys in this world. Known by his peers and within the industry to turn the traditional approach to animal care upside down, he is colorful, humorous, and only has chill vibes with a zen and absolute delivery. Dr. Marty is truly one of a kind, a bright light in this world with his passion for pet health at the heart of all he does. Deemed a miracle worker by Forbes magazine, Martha Stewart's vet, and referred by Oprah Winfrey as the man I trust with the health of my animals, we are beyond honored to have him join us. Here is the one, the only, Dr. Marty Goldstein. We have a celebrity in our presence today, the world-renowned, the famous, and sometimes infamous to some, Dr. Marty Goldstein. Cue the applause.
Yay!
Yay! Hello, Dr. Marty. Welcome to our little corner of the world. I am absolutely overjoyed to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure. I love doing this.
And we have an extra treat because I get to FaceTime you while doing this. You're the very first person we've ever FaceTime while recording. So
Imagine.
Extra special. And we have our tropical shirts on today for you, channeling our Dr. Marty, bringing the joy and the fun, just as you do.
That's right. Why not? And just like our animals do, too.
That is so true. Let's kick it off with a self-introduction. Can you please introduce yourself, who you are, and what you do?
Hi, I'm Dr. Marty Goldstein. I am a veterinarian of 53 years. I graduated Cornell Vet School in 1973. Didn't come out saying, I want to be a holistic veterinarian, because it didn't exist then. I was basically losing my own health, and out of fear and vanity, I started to search for answers that the conventional medical establishment couldn't give me. Stumbled upon biologically appropriate food. What a concept. And it was amazing how it turned around so many of my genetically based conditions that all the males on my mother's side of the family had. I had the same conditions. And what's interesting is they've been dead for 14 to 45 years. And I just turned 79 and I haven't been sick in 40 years. And it ain't a coincidence. It has to do with especially eating the correct food that's biologically made for your body and segue onto our companion animals, what they should be eating. So there's your intro.
That, I know of it for animals. I never thought about it for humans. Is that
Duh.
crazy? That is crazy. How do I find out what is biologically appropriate for myself?
Oh, I mean, there's, especially with Dr. Google, there's millions and millions of references. And that's, how I created all of this work. No one taught me. It didn't exist back then. I started studying and became certified in acupuncture in the mid-'70s and studied Eastern philosophy. And there's so much knowledge on healing the body, either two-legged or four-legged, that was, thousands of years old. Conventional medicine, as vast as it has become, is new to this planet. But real healing and things like acupuncture and herbs have been here for thousands of years. And we're finally, as a veterinary establishment, starting to accept this. Finally.
Yeah, I will do research because I would love to live my life like that too.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. And you don't look 79 by any means, nor do you act like it.
Yeah, that's most of the time I get late 50s, mid 60s. I'm 58 years older than my youngest daughter.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And that's how it should be. And it's not because I was lucky, because genetically, I should have been dead at least 25, 30 years ago.
Well, I hope you're immortal. I like to think you're immortal. I need Dr. Marty around forever.
Yeah, I'm not even taking care of myself the way I know I could, because I'm having a great time in life. But, if you look at the cell of the body, and you don't have any cells except maybe some eggs that you were born with. The body replenishes the cells every 5 to 7 years. So when a cell gets damaged or aged, it gets replaced by a normal cell. What causes the degeneration and aging process and even death is when cells lose that ability. And you can control a lot of that just by taking care of yourself at a cellular level. And get those damaged cells, those aging cells, instead of dying off and turning into scar tissue, you can get those cells to lay down a new stem. That's why stem cells is becoming a huge therapy in longevity medicine right now.
I was just going to ask you about stem cell therapy and, stem cell nutrition anyway. I know they have it for people and pets. I don't know. Have you heard of Petrogen? It's the stem cell nutrition for pets. And then they have their human version called Stemrogen.
Stemrogen, yeah. The only problem right now is that there is so much information. When I started, there was one supplement for animals in the United States. It was called Pet Tabs. It was made by a drug company, Beecham Massengale. It still exists. But now, I met you at Super Zoo.
Right.
And if we went back to Super Zoo back when I was graduating in, the late 70s, there would have been one booth. And now you could walk the floor for 8 hours straight and not see all the booths. So, and as great as that is, especially for me, going back in time when I was struggling to get the message out, to see the thousands and thousands of available product lines, it does create a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
And a lot of jumping on the bandwagon.
I agree.
For people just to make a buck trying to push products that are inferior.
Yep. I felt it. Like we walked the floor for 3 days and I could feel every booth that we went to. I could feel like who was genuine, who really had the pet's interest in their heart, and what was quality products, what wasn't, and who was just there to jump on the bandwagon. And I don't know, for me, it was like saddening and disheartening, some of the things that I saw. So it was definitely ebb and flow of emotions walking through there.
I mean, one thing I feel bad about when I go to these shows, it sounds weird, is that a lot of people will have life-changing experiences with their companion animal.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they'll want to dedicate their life to it, and they'll create a product line that's probably phenomenal. But they're going out into a vast sea of other, competitive lines. And, they got a little booth at one of these shows. They probably spent half their life savings for the booth. And they're probably not going to get recognized, even though they're doing a lot. I mean, I don't think I would try to come out with a new product line right now because the competition is vast. It's huge. I lucked out beyond compare after 47 years of intense struggle to land a relationship with the company I'm with, which was a huge, huge marketing company, high level professionalism. And it was probably the greatest thing that ever happened in my career. So even though I was going into a huge competitive market, all of a sudden, I'm all over the country every single day. But someone that doesn't have a company like that behind them is probably not going to make it. It's a shame, or just barely get by.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to see all these wonderful new natural products coming, but it is hard to get the word out and the marketing because it is saturated.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to insert my personal story here.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready for it?
I'm ready. Are they ready?
So, as I've told you many times, you mean so much to me. You're so special to me. And this is why. So, for those who don't know, Dr. Marty makes a lot of videos speaking about what's really in our pets' food, causing all these health issues. And you were the very first person I ever heard speak on what really was in our pets' food. And at the time I saw the video, it just so happened to be after I lost my soul kitty, my monkey Bean, to intestinal lymphoma in 2017. She had been on a dry food diet her whole life from one of the big brands. And it blew my mind. A veterinarian was talking about this. When I went 13 years with vet-client relations and not one mentioned anything you were speaking of in that video. You've really changed my life and validated my experience and inclinations with my monkey. I thank you for spreading the word on the dangers in pet food. You are the one that changed everything for me and sent me into the rabbit hole of learning everything I could about pet food and finding species-appropriate nutrition. And voila.
Da, 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 da. Well, my very similar story is when I started to eat properly, I stumbled upon a book just by sheer quote unquote coincidence. I was overweight. I had degenerative arthritis. I had marks appearing on my body and growing. And all of a sudden, I stumbled upon this book on Eastern philosophy called You Are All Sanpaku. And this was a crazy book. And I was in a position where once I started to read it, I couldn't put it down because I was on the pot. And I just grabbed the book to get there. And it was a book that my then girlfriend had dropped off on the dining room desk on the way to the bathroom. And as I was reading it, it's like, what the heck is this stuff? But it had answers in it. And I stayed there for 40 minutes. And all of a sudden, I started to eat food I never ate before. I lost 20 pounds in 8 days. My arthritis symptoms went away. And it was like, oh my God, could health be this easy? Then I looked at the food that I was taught in vet school to only feed to our clients and to our own pets. And in those days, it was the semi-moist burgers, Gaines Burgers Top Choice. You throw a bright red burger into a bowl. You go there 5 days later, pick it up, and it's still soft and red. You know why? Because it ain't food.
Right.
And I started to look at the ingredients, and I was blown away by the amount of chemicals and non-food substances that were in this. And I was scientifically taught this is the only food to feed your companion animals every day of their life. And we took my brother's dog, Lee, a golden retriever, who had severe allergies. All four paws were bandaged every spring and summer, had severe hip dysplasia. And we put Lee on some boiled hamburger, brown rice, and green leaf vegetables like spinach. And all of a sudden, within a week and a half, he was running around. His allergy symptoms were gone. And it was like, oh my God, can it really be this easy? And that's what started for me. And then as I went to share it, all I got was opposition, ridicule, criticism, and threats to my license. And it was just basic common sense
Right.
of feeding an animal, whether it's two-legged or four-legged, what nature intended them to eat. It's like,
Yes.
duh.
Yes.
Yeah, so I had the same experience, a wake-up call.
And I love that you said scientifically taught, because most of the vets, the conventional vets that I meet, anytime you say anything from nutrition to holistic treatments or whatever, they always want to see the science. Science.
That's right.
So I love that you said that you were scientifically taught that, and that the food that you were scientifically taught to feed was riddled with all these chemicals.
Yeah, you know what my definition of science is in my second book, in the fundamentals of natural healing that I laid down? Science in the field of medicine is man trying to figure out what nature created.
Exactly.
Right. So as scientifically advanced as we have become, and I am blown away by some of the technology in the field of conventional medicine, totally blown away, impressed. We could figure out every spot on a biological, biophysiological pathway in the body. We could take a dye and through, CAT scan or MRI, locate a tumor 2 millimeters by 2 millimeters in the spinal cord. All of these scientific, technological advancements we have, but guess what? We didn't create those metabolic pathways. We don't know how to do that. Nature does. And if we don't start listening and observing and paying homage to what nature is trying to do in the body, that's called cancer.
Yes.
Period. That's all cancer is.
Yes.
And it's scientifically appropriate, not biologically or naturally appropriate. Period.
Boom.
Yeah, that's it. Boom. It's exactly one word, boom.
Yes. And I love your delivery. I can't even explain it. You're so like Zen vibe and just matter of fact, nonchalant way of delivering like real information. I really wish I could be like that. It's so admirable.
I mean, if I had to do it again, there's no way I'd go into medicine. I would either go into, the arts, music, or sports. Much higher vibrational level of existence than how mundane conventional scientific medicine is. And it's the 3 Ds: diagnose, disease, and drug.
Right.
That's what I learned at vet school. Nutrition, 3-week course, and it was mostly arithmetics. Had to balance different levels of protein, carbohydrates, fats, and stuff like that. Numerically, nothing about quality. Zero.
And I love that you mentioned that too, because not a lot of people know about it. I mean, unless you're kind of in the holistic world and you do your research, like you find out those things. But the mainstream pet parent doesn't know any of that. So it's like whatever the veterinary is telling them, that is what they're doing. And what their words are gold. And if they recommend a food that is in their clinic, then that's what they do. They don't question it. And if somebody like myself comes around and I'm like trying to educate them on like, no, you really should look into like fresh food, species appropriate food, raw food, gently cooked food, whole foods, like real food. They look at me sideways like I'm telling lies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, like take it from Marty Goldstein. It's not just me saying that.
Take it from nature. Forget about me. Take it from nature.
I mean, for me, like when I learned about it, I was like, well, yes, that's common sense. That's logic.
That's right.
Why would we not be feeding them what they feed in the wild? Like we've domesticated these pets. So let's try to mimic the most natural diet and lifestyle for them inside our homes. Like to me, it was just, I mean, not even to me, it is common sense, just like you said.
Yeah, two of the other fundamentals I wrote in my second book was if scientists studied the way dogs and cats ate in the wild, we would have never created the pet food industry to become what it has become. And the other one is health and healing is not rocket science. Unfortunately, medicine has become that.
Yeah.
It is.
Agreed.
It's common sense.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That leads me perfectly into this next question.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the content of those videos that I saw and that you still make today. They blew my mind. You can actually find them anywhere, and we'll have a few from YouTube linked in our pod blog, so you can also get informed and educated. But the video I saw, probably close to 8 years ago now, completely flabbergasted me. You dove deep into the horrid ingredients and quality of food, from fillers, artificial preservatives, and spray-ons to cancer-causing carcinogens, and even euthanized animals, roadkill, plastic tags and packaging, just to name a few crazy ingredients, all being ground up and made into our pets' food. So,
yep.
Are you ready for this? Let's do it. Let's expose pet food at its core. Can you share in detail what's really in the majority of commercial pet food and how these ingredients are causing our pets' health to decline at rapid rates?
Yeah, the good thing is for years when I was trying to share this, it was my opinion and I couldn't back it up because I was just a practitioner working 15 hours a day, 7 days a week on cancer patients. But now everything I'm saying, you could look up and do a computer search and find the references. So most of the ingredients in commercial pet food was not food fit for human consumption. And it was coming from, especially the meat stuff, from rendering plants that has all the byproducts and the byproduct meal. Go online and look at the AAFCO, which is the advisory board under the FDA, on what is in chicken byproduct meal. You see the word chicken on the label and you go, oh, it's chicken. No, just go and for yourself look at what's in there. And there's one thing that's not in there, meat.
Right.
Show me one tooth in a dog or especially a cat's mouth that is flat for grinding and chewing cereal or grain.
Right.
It doesn't exist. The cat is the obligate carnivore. 85-90% of its diet in the wild is meat.
Yes.
But you're not getting meat in these foods. You're getting waste. You're getting stuff. And I'm telling you, it was proven. What was that book that I wrote about in my first book by the lady in Canada? Foods That Kill or something like that. And then, they were picking up roadkill, these animals that made it to rendering plants. Some of them died of cancer. Funny, one of my best friends is a veterinarian in LA. He became one of the number one integrative veterinarians because he initially disguised himself that he was interested in my work, but flew from the West Coast to the East Coast to get my license suspended.
I saw that on your documentary.
It's in the documentary.
Yeah.
And what he learned turned him into being, he was writing a monthly column for the Huffington Post on integrative veterinary medicine. But anyway, he gave me photos from an insurance adjuster in Los Angeles that gave to him, and it was photographs, hidden photographs of the inside of one of the rendering plants there. And I put those photographs up in my lectures, and it would make you sick
Yes.
to see what is considered meat in pet food. And it's really a shame the way they take these ingredients like bone in AFCO regulations. It's intestines with the best attempt to clean out feces. Do you think the worker that's cleaning out the feces in the intestine is making sure it's all out? Absolutely not. And this is the stuff that then goes through enzymatic degradation with things like heavy-duty acids to break down the indigestible parts of it so it could become digestible so your pet could eat it and it could be listed as a protein. It's really a shame. And it's all there. And then the other thing is we call them fillers, even though science is saying that corn is probably the most digestible source of protein for a dog. Hello. Where did common sense go? It was funny, but Martha Stewart gave me my own show on Sirius for 6 years, but she had me on her TV show at least 5 times. I think the first time I was on, my producer of my radio show was Martha's right hand and the producer of her TV show. And on the first time I was on there, they allowed me to put the formula of the food that was the sponsor for the Martha show. Obviously, the name of the food was not there. And the first ingredient of this food was corn. And we know that on the ingredient list, the most prominent ingredient is listed first, and then it goes down the line.
Right.
And then they allowed me to turn to Martha and say, Martha, have you ever seen a dog stalk an ear of corn?
That's what I say all the time.
My producer said they received more calls from that line than any of the shows in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
And it's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a cat. I mean, the cat foods, the number one ingredient was corn. How much corn does a cat eat in nature? I mean, give me a break. And now that we know all the science in advanced glycation end products, we know that these are produced by high heat, which is what makes kibble and canned food, in the presence of sugar and carbohydrates. Hello, corn. Hello, wheat gluten, rice. So we've made these animals into herbivores, and they're not herbivores in nature. There it is. It's just common sense. You don't have to go to vet school for 4 years to realize what I just said is true.
Yep.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
Right? So you also talked about the additives, the chemical reactions forming during the high heat extrusion manufacturing process that creates the cancer-causing carcinogens in the food. You talked about adding synthetic vitamins and minerals to compensate for the lack of nutrition. And you also talked about the disease and decaying animals, the rendered meats and the byproducts. And also in the video that I saw, those photos that you just mentioned about the rendered meats and stuff that were horrifying, that was in the video that you did.
Yeah, I gave it to him.
And and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Saying mind blown is just a complete understatement.
Yeah, the other thing you touched upon is we all know scientifically that when you heat food, it destroys vitamins. It inactivates a lot of the minerals.
Right.
So to make government standards to get something on a shelf, you need those in the food. So look at the label of any food in the supermarket, and you'll see the initial ingredients, food, chicken byproduct meal, even whole chicken and stuff like that. And then the rest of the ingredient list will be selenium sulfide, thiamine mononitrate, different forms of vitamin E, blah, blah, blah. And because they have to put them back in because they got destroyed by the heating process.
Right.
And unfortunately, to save on expense, those are put back in synthetic form. Synthetic vitamins and minerals are not healthy to the body. They almost act like chemicals because they're synthetic. So when you think, oh, my little baby is getting all of these vitamins and minerals, they're getting them in synthetic form. One of the things I'm extremely proud of is that my food not only is it biologically appropriate, but it's one of the only foods I've seen, or to date, it's the only food I've seen that makes all government standards for nutritional content with nothing added. Our formulating science guys developed our food to meet government standards using only different foods. So we simulate nature. And the truth is, it's why we've received thousands of testimonials over the years on how well animals are doing eating this food that I help create that's biologically appropriate. Health is easy.
The pets cannot assimilate the synthetic vitamins and minerals. Is that correct?
Yeah, not only they're not simulatable, how's that for a word? But also, if they do assimilate, lead can be assimilated right into the bloodstream. Doesn't mean it's healthy.
Right.
These are synthetic derivatives, so they're not healthy. They're more harmful if they are assimilated.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Just like, mercury and all those metals for humans too, and animals. Animals are high in mercury as well, amongst other heavy metals.
And that word, all natural, that's not one of my favorite words. And when people look at me cross-eyed when I say, I don't care if it's all natural, I just look at them and go, lead is all natural. Would you eat it?
True.
And it's like, it's a wake-up call. If it's organic, if it's biologically appropriate, those are the words, not natural.
So when I saw that video, I was absolutely flabbergasted and thought, no wonder Monkey Bean got cancer, and intestinal cancer at that. I was absolutely livid, to say the least, that this was even permitted to be in someone's food and our beloved pet's food, and sold like it's healthy and the right thing to do for them. So my heart broke again, losing my monkey in such a way, and the heartache that ensued could have been prevented if I had the knowledge and if the quote-unquote food like this was never permitted to see the light of day.
So true. I mean, it's so true. Health is really simplistic. Disease brings in complexity. And we become a scientific, complex establishment that unfortunately avoids, or, in my profession, doesn't teach true healthcare. It's really a shame. But this is my mission, and I'm finally starting to infiltrate higher levels of society and especially my profession, because my advantage is that I documented.
Right.
I was taking these cases from all over the United States that had already failed conventional medical therapy. I had their records. I had their photographs. I had their biopsies. I had their course of therapy, and they were hopeless, terminal, non-responsive, recommended euthanasia. And by the thousands over the decades, my associates who I taught and me, we turned them around, not for a week or a month, but 4 to 9 years. And now I have presented them to society in seminars and to veterinary schools. And at the end of my presentation, I just look at them and I go, I know what you're thinking, because I used to sit there. Matter of fact, when I sat there at Cornell for the first initial years, I was number 2 in my class. You can't do this. Why don't you want to learn how to do this if your true mission is the wellness of your patient? And they're getting it because I'm shoving it in their face.
And you can say it again, because I think the majority of people's experience with their vet is the complete opposite. So, yeah, we need more Martys.
Yeah. The reason it's that way is, unfortunately, the educational process through the veterinary schools is run by and subsidized by the big companies who make billions of dollars of profit selling stuff that ain't appropriate for health. It's really a shame. They're subsidizing. So when the vet student graduates and becomes a veterinarian, all they know is the stuff that paid for their education.
Right.
Besides what they paid for their education. And it's really a shame. I mean, we certainly know now that a major sector of veterinary medicine and the pet food industry is owned by Mars and Nestle. I mean, these are companies that made their zillions of dollars not producing healthy stuff.
Yep.
And then Procter and Gamble, that is, a chemically based study. So even though they have the intent and they love their animals, they don't even know about this stuff. They should invest half of their money into true healthcare.
Agree.
They'll make even more. And the end result is we'll have animals living healthier, longer, happier lives, period.
Yes. And I think, to be honest, and this is quite a statement, there are veterinarians out there that believe that if we keep our babies healthy, then they're going to lose the income because their practice is based on sick animals. It's a sad notion. And I really wish that the mind frame and the practice can be flipped upside down. I hope that it comes into living a healthy lifestyle and prevention and let's keep the babies healthy, not sick.
Yeah, they could actually be more profitable doing things based on healthcare than disease. But they don't know that. I'm trying to teach them that.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that.
I mean, every animal we saw, we took a full blood panel on, analyzed the blood panel, then put them on nutritional supplements based on not what we read on Google, but based on their own blood results. And we know blood mirrors the body. And that's a lot more profitability than giving them a vaccine and sending them home with a bag of dry kibble. And during the same office visit, half hour, 45 minutes, they can make 2 to 3 times the amount of money and have a healthy animal patient instead. But they don't know that because they're not being taught that.
Yeah.
That's my mission.
It makes me sad. When I read that, I was just but how awful is that? And who's losing at the end? Our animals, our beloved animals that are our best friends. You're really okay with just keeping a practice based on disease like that? Meaning that not doing the things that we should be doing to keep them healthy because you want clients in your office. That to me is very sad. And you don't have the animal's best interest at heart. And I'm not saying all veterinarians do this by any means, but I do know some that do.
Well, you know what the problem is?
What?
They think they are doing the right thing. They think because of their 4 years of almost brainwashing in their educational process is that people like you or me are crazy.
Right.
And that what they're taught that is backed by quote unquote science is the right thing. And we're the ones that are dangerous. So they do have the pet's best interest at heart. It's just that they don't know that's wrong. It's a shame. And, welcome to my life.
So there was one time a vet mentioned food may be a contributing factor to monkeys' consistent vomiting. And the vet said that maybe it's the protein she's intolerant to. Try switching out the protein. So I did. Same brand, same dry food, just different protein. I even went grain-free. It did nothing. And after seeing your video, I realized it wasn't the protein at all. It was all the other nasty stuff in the concoction dry BS I was feeding. And as I call it, and this is from a lived experience, it was cancer in a bowl.
Yep.
And that's sad.
Yep.
And the harsh reality I had after the fact was that I would come across photos and videos of her eating after she got out of surgery from her diagnosis, and she was eating kibble. So I'm like, she has cancer and I'm still feeding her cancer in a bowl. My heart dropped and broke because I just felt that if I had the knowledge, I could have prevented it, first of all. I could have managed it when I found out. But it's absolutely heartbreaking to come to this realization.
Well, here is the biggie right now in reference to that. And probably the most exciting thing that has entered my scope in decades is that there is now full science on these substances called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, in the human field and now in the pet world. AGEs are substances that are created by high heat, especially in the presence of sugar and carbohydrates. Welcome to the world of kibble.
Right.
Advanced glycation end products are the culprits. They cause inflammation, they instigate allergies, they cause free radical release, they suppress the immune system. And there's so much science. Anyone listen to this, go online and put advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, and you'll see a myriad of scientific references on how dangerous these things are. One of the greatest things that ever happened to me is I got my company to back a study right now through 4 universities, 2 abroad and 2 in the United States, where we're not only, the proof is already there, we are going to establish through 3 different laboratories a international index on how to measure advanced glycation end products in pet food. And there are already relationships between the level of AGEs, disease, and the ability to detect the levels of AGEs in the blood and the urine. And once we establish this index, we'll be able to apply it and measure the level of AGEs in any food we test. And I'm hoping that it's going to change the scope of the pet food industry, and it's applicable to the human industry too. So this is a biggie. And you know what's really good? Is this ain't me. This is science. So we're going to give them what they want, the science on how to test these and see how they relate to disease, period. We're going to come full circle on it.
Love it.
Yeah, there's a biggie.
Yeah.
And the study has started, and we're hoping that it's going to roll out within the first year. We're going to create the index, and then the rest of the study is we're going to fund bringing this into the veterinary schools and have the students apply it to the in-hospital patients.
Mm.
And this is huge.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the culmination of everything I worked on in my career.
Wow.
Yeah. Biggie.
When I say you're a game changer, which I was planning on saying that later, it's you absolutely are. And we are all so very lucky to have you on this earth. And I hope you're here for 70 more years.
Oh, I will be. Yeah. I know once I apply what I really do know for physical health, how to go to 120 but go to 120 vibrant, not in a wheelchair. So, but it goes way back in time. I got a question for you.
Yes.
What is the correlation between the soap industry and the pet food industry?
Isn't it one of the big companies own the pet food, right?
No. Well, yeah, but it's much bigger than that.
Oh, I hope there's not soap byproducts going into our pet food too. Okay.
Back in, I think, the late 50s, early 60s, how was soap made?
With fat, animal fat.
Right. Enzymatic degradation of animal fat and lard into soap. What did we create in the late 50s and 60s? Phosphates. So all of a sudden, it was a less expensive, more stable way of making soap. So if you put detergent in your wash machine or your dishwasher, it ain't fat. It's phosphates. So that left millions of tons of fat not being used. Where did they dump that? They dumped it into the pet food industry. And we certainly know that fat rapidly goes rancid. So what did we create? The preservative. BHA, BHT, they're carcinogenic. And the biggest preservative to stabilize fat in pet food was made by the wonderful company Monsanto. It was called ethoxyquin. When I used to lecture in the 80s, I used to put up scientific studies in slide form on, it was called the liquefaction of liver cells in dogs based on ethoxyquin. So the healthy red-brown liver cells would turn to liquid and the dogs would die of hepatotoxicity. Now it's illegal for ethoxyquin to be on the label of food because of all the science behind it. But if a food comes from, let's say chicken byproducts comes from China that has ethoxyquin in it, and it goes into a commercial pet food, ethoxyquin doesn't have to go on the label and it doesn't have to be illegally banned. So I guarantee that dogs and cats are still eating ethoxyquin because it's bypassing the law. So that's one of the downfalls of the entire pet food industry over the decades. Preservatives.
And that leads me to this great question as well.
Da, 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 da. Are you still hearing me? Because my computer screen in the booth just went off.
Oh, no, we can still hear you. It's perfect.
What a drag. We're doing it. We're getting the message out.
So let's get into how misleading and deceptive their marketing practices, labels, and packaging are to consumers. Can you lend your voice on this topic? S'il vous plaît.
Yeah, what woke me up to this, and I share this all the time, I won't use the name. I don't think it exists anymore. I'm not sure. But when I started to really wake up and try to get my own health back, my pendulum swung from one side to the other, and all of a sudden I became Mr. Natural, and everything I touched or ate had to be perfect. So I used to go and I would not buy salad dressing that was on the regular shelf. I would buy the refrigerated salad dressing because I was Mr. Holistic. And one day I'm at my kitchen table eating my salad with this salad dressing on it. And across, the reason I bought it, right across the label in big red letters, diagonal, it said, no preservatives added. So that's what I bought, because the ones that are sitting on the shelf without refrigeration, we know they got preservatives in it. And I turned the label around, and all of a sudden, in the ingredient list were 3 different preservatives. And it was like, what? Turn it around again, it says no preservatives added. So I go up to Cornell, to the vet school, and a very dear friend of mine, my teacher, Dr. Fran Kahlfelds, who unfortunately passed away, I said, Fran, what the heck is this? And he looks at me and he goes, oh, it's simple. What's her name that's producing this doesn't make salad dressing. She's a bottler. So she buys salad dressing that already has preservatives in it, sticks it in a bottle, puts her name on it, and says no preservatives added because she didn't add any of it in. So did she really care about your health or scamming you?
Right.
That's when I started to learn how to read labels. So there are 2 major deceptions in pet food. Number 1 is because, especially the pet food recall of 2007, people started to really investigate, consumers pet food, and they started to realize that dogs and cats are carnivores, so they're looking for the first ingredient to be meat, because we know it's the most prominent ingredient.
Right.
And even if it's whole meat, so you buy chicken formula or beef formula, and you look at the label, and the first ingredient is beef. Yay! Then you look at the second, third, fifth, sixth, eighth ingredient, and you'll see rice, oatmeal, millet, sorghum, quinoa, and this and that. And if you add the totals of all of those other ingredients up, you'll see that 60% of the food is grain.
Right.
But your mind thinks that the number one ingredient is meat, and it's not. The other one is called fractionation. And what happens with fractionation is because when you add an ingredient to the food, it gets listed based on the amount of content. So you'll take the first ingredient, beef, and then the second ingredient, you'll see whole white rice. Third ingredient, brewer's rice. Fifth ingredient, rice middlings, rice powder. They'll take whole rice and break it into different fractions and add each fraction at a different time so they don't get listed as one component, whole rice. Because if they listed the rice, it would be the number one ingredient. Maybe 50% of the food is rice. But your mind is thought that beef or chicken is the first ingredient. And these are scams by companies to save on expense, sell these products cheaper without your pet's interest at heart.
And not to mention the front of the package, the photos that they use.
Oh, yeah.
fresh looking food that looks
falling from the sky.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks like the whole chicken is in there and it's roasted and it's fresh whole foods and it's all these things. But in the reality, the package needs to have just full ears of corn and wheat fields and
powder.
Like a pile of sugar.
Yeah.
On
it's
the
so
front.
true. That's called marketing.
Exactly. Yes. And their marketing deception is next level.
It's amazing.
I want to mention some warning signs that food could be a major culprit that you're seeing in your pet's discomfort. And this is a pretty long list. It's not fully inclusive. So at the end of the list, I will ask you if there are any other warning signs we should know about.
Wow.
Yes.
Let me have it.
So, digestive issues, vomiting, joint discomfort, behavioral problems, itchy skin, paw licking, messy stools and gas, bad odor, allergies, the yellow-orange discoloration that you see on the fur, especially around the feet, eyes, and ears and nose, which is from yeast buildup, over-grooming, hot spots, bald spots and alopecia, inflammation, IBS and IBD, cancers, and long-term and chronic sickness. And that's just to name a few. So, which is, the majority of the health concerns that every pet parent is having and going into the vet clinics for repeatedly over and over and over again, and probably on many meds for that are just not helping the problem. So do you have any other warning signs that we should know besides those?
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, let's hear it. Let's do it.
There's so many, but you miss some biggies.
Oh.
Obesity.
Yes.
Lameness.
Yes.
Lethargy.
Yes.
Clouding of the eyes.
Yes. And I have a question for that I didn't think that I would ask right now, but I'll ask as soon as you're done listing.
How about death?
Yes.
Yeah. Those are the biggies. The top one, the top of the list is tumors and cancer. When I graduated Cornell, observationally, in the practice I was in, maybe 1 out of 10 dogs got cancer. And when I was at the vet school, we learned that when we saw a patient, we would create what's called the differential diagnosis of all the possibilities. I was taught at Cornell that if a young dog came to your practice with a lump on it, you eliminated the possibility of cancer based solely on age. Now, in the study that I presented in my last book, The Spirit of Animal Healing, in 2021, I share a study done by the Institute of Canine Biology that shows that 1 out of every 1.61 dogs in the United States gets cancer. And it's unfortunately, just like in children, it's become a prominent disease also in the young. So something is wrong. Right now, the AVMA lists cancer as the number 1 killer of dogs. Renal disease of cats, cancer number 2, and they say 1 out of 3. I think it's greater than 1 out of 3. But even if it's 1 out of 3, and it's the number 1 killer of dogs, it's unfortunately the top of the list. Before I retired from clinical practice, and in my practice was seeing 5 new cases of cancer a day.
Wow.
Yeah, wow, horrible. And it was the young too.
Right.
And that's what's really scary. So obviously, we're starting to hand this stuff down genetically.
Yeah, and I'm sure that number now is much higher than it was then. But as you said, that they were young, and I'm now seeing even younger and younger. So from like 3 to 6 years old, they're getting cancer and tumors and kidney failure and renal failure. And those are prominent, like you said, in cats as well, because cats receive most of their, or all of their moisture really, through their food. So if we're feeding a dry food, they're chronically dehydrated. That takes a toll on the kidneys and the bladder eventually. And so kidney disease, renal disease, like we're seeing all these things. And then, and in my experience with the people that I have come across, their vets are recommending prescription renal dry food. And I'm like, this is the complete opposite of what we should be doing. You should now be feeding fresh food, high in moisture, stay far, far away from the dry foods.
Yeah, the one good thing is that years back, the food scientists from the IAMS Food Corporation that I actually co-lectured with at Mercy College proved this scientifically, because what we've always taught is that when an animal has kidney issues, especially going into kidney failure, you give them a protein restrictive diet. Giving them high protein was a medical malpractice no-no. And what they proved is that this was false.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, restricting protein in animal with kidney issues, if anything, leads to emaciation.
Yes.
And I shared a story in my first book, The Nature of Animal Healing, I wrote in 1999. One of my clients, her name was Lynn. She used to win awards every year for piano. She was an amazing piano player. And then she had 3 Siamese mixed cats. And all 3 of them had chronic, lowly elevated kidney values. So a normal BUN that should go up to 28 or 30, they were in the mid-40s, and their creatinine, another poison the kidney gets rid of, should be 1.7, 1.9. All were elevated medically, like 2.6, 2.7. And I kept these cats very stable for years. And their kidney values were always elevated, but I never got them back to normal. Because of her ability in playing music, she moved to Nashville to be part of the Nashville music scene. And about a year later, I got a huge package in the mail. And it was the animal's medical history since she moved and their blood results. After she got to Nashville, someone convinced her to feed all 3 cats a mostly raw meat diet. That was medical malpractice, and within 2 months, all 3 cats' kidney values went back to normal. And she sent me the blood work. And I was astounded. I would share this with clients of mine that had cats with elevated kidney values. I wouldn't recommend it because it would be medical malpractice.
Right.
And I saw that replicated over and over again. If you put animals on a high quality, biologically appropriate, mostly meat diet, unless they're in severe renal failure, it would tend to improve kidney function, not hurt it.
Yes. And I have been saying that over and over and over again to everybody that I come across that has it. And again, I'm looked upon like
Of course.
because I'm saying the complete opposite of what their vet is saying. And I'm just like, no, like really, trust me, do the research. Please, please, please switch it over and you'll see a huge difference in their quality of life and their health and their blood values. Like, yeah. So thank you for saying that.
And the other thing, too, is that scientifically, the diets they formulate will work for the intended condition. But what about the overall health? And the example I always gave is if you were always sluggish and always tired, and I put you on amphetamine, you would wake up, you would feel great, and then over time, you would die.
Mm.
And that's what's happening is that scientifically, these diets will lower the kidney values, but the animal will suffer in the long run because they're not eating food that's appropriate for their overall health, period.
Right. Can you touch on how quote unquote premium and quote unquote prescription foods are no better and that how they are riddled with the same ingredients and poor quality and manufactured the same way?
Well, I think we just touched upon the prescription foods just by using the example with the renal diets. They will work scientifically like the amphetamine that's going to wake you up, but they're not going to support overall health in the long run. And I unfortunately saw that in practice where I would use these diets, the kidney values will get better, and then 6 months later, the animal will die of cancer.
Right.
Because we didn't support their immune system. And premium, to me, is marketing. What makes it premium? How they market it and make it look like it is the best you could get. But, biologically, it ain't premium. Its marketing is premium. Like you said, the things, the meats and the chunks of salmon falling from the sky on the label, make it look premium. Read the ingredient list and it ain't premium.
Right.
It's garbage.
And at the end of the day, it's still dry food, and our pets need moisture in their food, dogs included. It's not just, cats. I mean, cats get probably 99% or close to it of their moisture within their food source. Dogs are at a high percentage as well, not as high, but it's important that they have moisture in their diet. If it's prescription or premium, as long as it's kibble and dry, they're still not getting what their body needs.
True. Yeah, plus, the ingredients have been adulterated from the heating process.
Yes.
Yeah. It's all scientifically based now. We just got to switch the right science for the wrong science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we get to Smith Ridge Veterinary Center, because we're going to talk about that, you mentioned the cloudy eyes, and I mostly see it in dogs. And there is a senior rescue that I follow on Instagram called Muttville in San Francisco. They're amazing. They're the first cage-free rescue sanctuary. And in order to be in that facility, they need to be 7 years or older. And a lot of their dogs have cloudy eyes. And I've noticed that once they hit a certain age and senior dogs have cloudy eyes, and I'm like, this cannot be normal. Like, what are they missing in their diet in order to have that? Because you don't see it in cats. Like it's only in dogs.
Yeah, I don't think they're missing something in their diet. When we feed these foods where a lot of the ingredients are not usable by the body, it'll get deposited in the body. So there is no difference in my mind between the cloudiness, the deposition of, waste product in the eye and a dog with arthritis. It's just going into their joints instead of their eyes. Chronic renal failure. What you're doing is the functioning cells of the kidneys are getting replaced by deposition-created dead cells, scar tissue and stuff like that. That is the disease process where we're replacing normal function cells with hardened cells. You ever hear of arterial sclerosis?
No, I've not.
In humans?
No.
It's the number one cause of disease. Heartache. Arterial sclerosis is plaque in the arteries.
I do know that.
What does the word sclerosis in Latin mean? Hardening. So you're getting a deposition of stuff in your arteries. You're getting a deposition of the stuff in the eyes. So it's not what they're missing. It's what we're feeding them that's not getting utilized, that's getting deposited in the body. There is no difference between cloudy eyes and an aging body. It's all the same. It's a shame.
Is that what I'm hearing correctly? It's the quality of the ingredients in the food that's causing the cloudy eyes?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And clinically, what I've seen over the years is we would take an animal with cancer or degenerative arthritis, get them healthy, get them on a biologically raw meat, balanced diet, and their arthritis would get better, but all of a sudden their eyes clear up. We didn't even work on the eyes. We worked on their immune system to take care of cellular function.
Right.
That's it. And there is a product, and it's called L-carnosine. And look it up online. And this is an amino acid eye drop that can help dissolve deposition, even cataracts. It was initially created for humans by a doctor in Budapest. And we used it over the years, and we saw a lot of dogs, not only would their eyes get clearer, but their ability to see, even if the eyes didn't get clearer, improved. And that condition, it's called nuclear or lenticular sclerosis, is the clouding of the eyes that's not cataracts.
Okay. So why don't we see that in cats? Because cats are more notorious of getting not great food, and they're obligate carnivores.
I mean, it's different strokes for different species.
Okay.
We see diseases in humans that animals don't get, and vice versa.
Right. I knew it was food related.
Yeah. Why is the number one killer if a dog's cancer, the number one killer if cat's renal disease? It's what hit their species.
Right. All from food.
It all starts with food.
Yes.
That's the mantra.
Yes.
Period.
Let's talk about Smith Ridge Veterinary Center. For those who aren't familiar with it, Smith Ridge opened in 1982, South Salem, New York, founded by Dr. Marty's brother. And in 1984, Dr. Marty eventually took the practice over. You're now retired, but the practice remains after selling it to your trusted vet colleague who continues your efforts in standard of care today. The practice is renowned for its holistic, cancer-fighting, and immune-supportive approaches. Treating patients from all parts of the world, it gained a reputation for treating challenging cases, including cancer, using techniques like cryosurgery and nutritional counseling. Smith Ridge specializes in the use of integrative medicine and complementary modalities for maintaining animal wellness and treating chronic and degenerative illnesses, especially cancer. You and your brother really created something special, Dr. Marty, and laid the foundation for other vets to follow. Thank you so much for that.
We were partners. I poured my heart and soul into it. It was funny, but this goes back maybe 15, 17 years ago. The lady that was the manager of my practice did her own personal study of not my associates, but just my clients. And over a 6-week period, my average client was 590 miles away. We were the only ones doing this. So by word of mouth, if an animal in LA had cancer and didn't respond to UC Davis, they flew in, they drove in. We used to have trailers, campers in the parking lot. I mean, it was a major place because no one else was doing it to this extent. And, my goal is to take the cases that I had tremendous success with and start lecturing to the veterinary schools and different associations to show that this can be done. And one of the big things we did was intravenous high-level vitamin C.
Yes.
I literally must have treated, no exaggeration, 35 to 40,000 patients since the 1970s. And any given day, we would have 4 to 8 different animals on intravenous vitamin C in our clinic. And it was astounding how anti-cancer it is, but also pro-survival.
And you can follow along on some of those journeys. They're depicted in Dr. Marty's The Dog Doc,
Yeah.
which I highly recommend everyone to see.
Oh, yeah.
It is a documentary that you also star in. Cameras are following you and your Smithridge staff alongside clients and their guardians who are navigating illness, diagnosis, and treatment.
What's a shame about that is a really dear friend. I saved her dog's life that was supposed to be euthanized that day. And the dog lived for years and years. And she became a filmographer. She created that film over 3 years. It was winning awards all over the United States. It actually got accepted or listed by the Academy to be listed for an Oscar. It premiered in New York City and 3 movie theaters in LA. And the next day, COVID shut the industry down. So it would have been out there big time and unfortunately got buried. But you could get it online very inexpensively or even free on some of the platforms. And the one joy for me, because I went through so much opposition and criticism, when I was attending film festivals all over the United States, veterinarians that attended the film festival and watched the film, and I did a Q&A after, every single one of them came up to me and gave me the thumbs up for really demonstrating the need for integrative veterinary medicine in our profession, not just holistic or conventional, but the combination of both. It is a must. Any animal lover must watch this movie. It was just done so well.
I agree. It's wonderful. And I want to take a moment and just say again to you, thank you for doing the documentary. I had to pause it many times and just let the tears flow because it's true. I was just like, I need a moment. I need a moment to digest. I need a minute because I wish there were more veterinarians like you. And I keep saying that, but it's so true. And I wish I knew of you when Monkey was here. In the documentary, you provide tangible hope and healing. What seems like magic and miracles occur. And you're educating the pet parents on food and alternative therapies. The heart, love, and soul that you have for animals is so evident. You truly have the pet and the guardian's best interest in mind.
Especially the pet. If they hired an Uber and came by their own, my life would have been much better.
That's a great visual, too. We'll have the documentary and where you can watch it linked in this episode's pod blog on our website, which is theholisticfeline.com. So all of the beautiful links will be in there.
Yay.
Yes, because everyone needs to watch it.
Plus the 2 books, not that I make a penny on selling books, but the Nature of Animal Healing that I wrote in 1999 that's still selling. Bookauthority.com a few years ago listed as the #1 best-selling veterinary medicine book of all time. And the sequel that I finally wrote 25 years later, The Spirit of Animal Healing, is chock full of everything I learned over the 53-year career.
Beautiful. And that's so funny that you use that word because I said the same thing. I said, alongside your documentary, you have 2 best-selling books.
Oh, there you go.
The Nature of Animal Healing and The Spirit of Animal Healing. They are holistic and integrative medicine guides to care for our dogs and cats' mind, body, and spirit. And please, please read them. They are, like you said, and I have written down, chocked full of life-saving information. Your animals will thank you for it. I thank you for it. And we will also have those books linked in our pod blog as well.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you for writing them.
Oh, it was my mission. It was an obligation that I knew I had to get it out there.
So, can you share some clinical stories and your journey to real food during your time in practice? How you saw nutrition playing a starring role in disease and in health?
Well, I mean, there's literally tens of thousands. But I'll tell you one thing. The joy that I'm getting now is the thousands, and I mean thousands of testimonials that have come in from people all over the country on how well animals, dogs and cats, have done just eating the food I created based on those 50 years of experience. And what blows me away is not how well they're doing, but how fast they're responding and how much they love the stuff. So many testimonies have come in on dogs that were finicky or even near anorexic, and all of a sudden, they gave them the food I created. They went ballistic on it. We've had stories about people that have tried samples with their dog who devoured it, then wouldn't eat their old food again. And this is over and over and over again. So it was all of a sudden, I would look back and say, oh my God, it really did work. I mean, it's biologically appropriate. It's supplying to them what they need, plus it's what they want to eat, and it's freeze dried, which means it doesn't get heated. It's not creating those high levels of advanced glycation end products. It's not destroying the nutrient content. Like I said before, it's one of the only foods that I know of out there that meets government standards just with food ingredients. And by freeze drying it, at the time of freeze drying, you are sealing in the peak of nutrition that stays stable for up to 18 months. So it's like having 4 or 5 slices of cake and eat it too. It's drmartypets.com. And it is the joy of my life. It became very frustrating for me at practice to see an animal that they drove 2,000 miles that is supposed to die of cancer. And I would take on that case. And that one animal, not only did the people require a huge amount of education, but that animal needed a lot of work, day in, day out, even though they drove back to Nevada, because you don't cure cancer in 3 or 4 days. You just start therapy. And it was very frustrating to me to have to work 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, maybe getting to 5, 6, 7 patients a day. And now I am reaching thousands a day with this work. And they're responding just as well on the food and some of the nutritional supplements I created without me having to slave away, only reaching 5 a day. It's the biggest transition, the happiest, most rewarding transition that I've been through in my life.
Well, it's a life-changing food, so I thank you for making that as well.
Yeah, I love it. And now we have our own manufacturing plant in Wisconsin, so we're controlling all the quality control, the ingredients, the processing, everything, the testing. And it's just, it's a dream come true after literally 47 years of struggle.
Right.
And you'll see the struggle in the documentary.
Right. Yeah.
It has not been easy for me.
Yeah, and that just goes perfectly into my next question.
Yeah. See, I can predict stuff too.
You're known by your peers and within the industry to turn the traditional approach to animal care upside down. In my personal opinion, you are courageous, brave, honest, full of integrity and heart. I applaud you for all your efforts and changes you've made in pet health and pet food and veterinary care and medicine. At some point, your goal was to establish acceptance of integrative medicine as a norm. Where do you think we are as a society and vet med in achieving that very beautiful goal of yours?
10 to 12% there.
Wow.
I got a lot of work.
I was really hoping the percentage would be higher, but I see it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a rough, When I was certified in 1975, 76, that's when the real ridicule and condemnation came in. Oh, Goldstein used to be a good vet. Now he's sticking needles in animals. Now it's like 67 to 70% of all the veterinary schools uphold and even teach acupuncture. My license was verbally threatened in 1978 for treating arthritic dogs with glucosamine sulfate. Do you know how much glucosamine sulfate is sold every year in conventional veterinary medicine? It was like zillions of dollars. So it's funny. Some of my colleagues that I still know well, when I used to go to continuing education seminars, they used to criticize me so much for even considering studying acupuncture. And now, fast forward 30 years later, I go to continuing education. They come over and they're certified in acupuncture. And they go to me, you were so far ahead of your time. And my response is, acupuncture has been here over 3,000 years. I'm not ahead of my time. I'm just 35 years less behind than you. It's time to wake up.
Boom. Again.
Boom. Period. And they're waking up. Glucosamine, milk thistle, Denamarin, the supplement Denamarin. I'd say 80% of all veterinarians use and prescribe Denamarin for animals with elevated liver values. And it's milk thistle and adenosine. Now there's science behind this, so it's getting accepted. Fish oils is one of the number one things recommended by even dermatologists for animals with skin problems. I've been using that since the 70s. It's finally accepted, but we're at a very slow rate of acceptance because the powers to be don't want to hear this unless they start to make these products and sell them themselves.
Right.
Purina has the number one selling probiotic on the market right now. Yay! Go Purina, go! I don't care who owns it or who gets it out there as long as the animals benefit from it.
And that's why the animals are at the heart of everything you do. And I love that about you.
Why not? What else am I going to do? Work on humans? No, thank you.
So we have just 2 more little wrap-ups that are very short. Where can we keep up with everything Dr. Marty? So your website, social handles, and your beautiful food, of course.
drmartypets.com. Period.
Easy breezy.
Oh, yeah. That's it. I put everything into that, and it's a company I affiliated with. They're the best. They're the greatest. You dealt with their audiovisual person yesterday to get me into this sound chamber, so I'm speaking as clear as possible.
Yeah.
She's part of the team. It's the greatest team ever. I love them.
Yes, I agree. Laura, can we mention her name?
Absolutely. Hear that, Laura?
She was fantastic. And she made Dr. Marty sound even more beautiful.
That's right.
So do you have any final thoughts or knowledge you would like to share with all of us?
No, I think, and I'm very thankful to you for how comprehensive this podcast has been. You covered every aspect. And it's just, I say when I lecture, especially to veterinarians, is when I show these terminally ill animals after $30,000 to $70,000 worth of conventional therapy, and I show them alive, doing well 4 to 8 to 9 years later, I just say, I have 2 associates I consult with all the time, and so can you. And those 2 associates are Mother Nature and common sense.
Yes.
Period.
That's my motto as well.
That sums it up totally. So much of what, because no one taught me, so much of what I've learned to use was based on stepping back from my education and saying, wow, that doesn't make sense. Well, this quote unquote dog food, it doesn't make sense for a cat to be eating this. It's just common sense. That's it.
Yes. And I think we're kindred spirits because that is my motto as well. And I don't have the scientific background. I go through life intuitively. Like so many others, we kind of raise and feed our pets, mimicking of what we saw when we were children and what our parents did or grandparents did. It's kind of like a learned behavior.
Right, exactly.
And so that's what I did with my first kitty monkey Bean as an adult. I fed her what I grew up feeding all my cats and dogs. So it wasn't until I think I got old enough and then had that lived experience that I was able to use the logic and the intuitive feel of what would they eat in the wild. And with the help of your nudging and guidance, I learned that there is another way. There is a different way. I was correct in feeling those feelings. And you validated everything for me. But then you also put a huge spotlight on all the hidden things that I didn't even know was happening in the pet food world. So that enlightened me. And I hope this episode enlightens everybody that comes across it, because that is the point. I wanted to share you and your videos with the world because you absolutely changed my life. And my hope is that you change others' lives.
Oh, I will.
Because at the end, when you change the humans' lives, the animals' lives are changed too.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people with disease processes themselves or in their family got better being clients of Smith Ridge just by what they learned and applying it to themselves.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I'm telling you, it's basic common sense and actually acknowledging and following the laws of nature, not suppressing the symptoms nature makes with chemicals.
And this is why I say what we're doing here with this podcast and the Holistic Feline is we are improving the lives of our pets and ourselves. The info we share will change you and your pet's life, guaranteed, because so much of what we do to better the health of our pets also betters the health of us. It allows a window to look into our own health and tweak some things. Animals are our greatest teachers. I've always said this, and this is just a bit of the work that they do.
Yep.
You are such a treat and industry game changer in this world. I thank you immensely for the role you play in my life and for all the 2 feet, 4 paws lives you've touched thus far.
A pleasure. I wouldn't do anything else.
I am honored to have met you last year. I'm grateful for this conversation today, and I just love you so much. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for changing my life and the life of all the pets that I will love again.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Holistic Feline and Friends podcast. It is created, hosted, produced, and released with love, and my hope is you learn something along the way. When we know better, we do better. Please share your knowledge and our podcast with others. For more educational content, follow us on your favorite podcast platform, as well as Instagram at The Holistic Feline and online at theholisticfeline.com, where you will also find our blog that includes corresponding posts for each podcast episode with links to all the good stuff. Thank you again. We'll see you in the next episode.
The Holistic Feline and Friends podcast, website, blog, and socials are for informational and educational purposes only. All information, suggestions, recommendations, or comments, whether by written, verbal, audio, or otherwise, either direct, indirect, or association, is not a substitute for professional veterinary care. Please provide your pets with a minimum annual professional veterinary visit, and more often when health concerns arise. The Holistic Feline, Angela Warwick, and all guests and associates are speaking from experience and education. Please continue your research and form your own opinion. This is in no way a means to diagnose.